The following is a presentation of the BP8 Podcast Network.
What's up, Wake Forest? Welcome back to our Wake Forest-centric podcast. I'm Joel. This is Brian.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're going to talk about a very interesting project that's happening in the Wake Forest area and up into Franklin County.
It's one everybody's been talking about for years, and we're finally getting ready to start doing it. Well, we're talking about the US 1 corridor project today. It is it's a project being done by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. I was actually involved in some of the meetings a little over, or right at 10 years ago now, when we were starting to study the possibility. And a lot of folks have had questions on it in terms of what it's going to look like. And we were supposed to have a community meeting on the 11th, but unfortunately Hurricane Michael had plans to come through and visit.
So when did they move it to?
It's been postponed. I do not know when it has been rescheduled for yet, and we'll certainly mention that. You can follow the town's information on Facebook,
and Brian will share it.
And I'll also share it if you're following me on Twitter or Facebook, any of those places. But the first meeting, which is the one I attended last week, was on Tuesday at Life Point Church down in Raleigh off of Durant Road. It was from 4 to 7 p.m. And the one that we will do will also be about 3 hours long. We'll start it at 4 and end it at 7 so that people have time to come in. For those folks that work 9 to 5ers, they'll have the opportunity to come in and check it out. But basically, the idea is that planning and development is underway on a proposed project, and the goal is to set up a controlled access highway from I-540 in Raleigh to the Purnell Road intersection in Wake Forest. The goal of it is, of course, to improve the traffic congestion and to reduce travel times on US 1 Capitol Boulevard. And for all of those that drive Capitol Boulevard either in the morning or afternoons, you know how bad it is. And so the goal is to basically remove all of the traffic lights that are north of I-540. So the traffic light that is at Gresham Lake Road would be eliminated. The traffic light at Durant Road and Perry Creek Road would be eliminated. The traffic light at Burlington Mills Road will be eliminated. The traffic light at South Main, Falls of the Noose Road, and Capitol will be eliminated. 98 bypass was already completed years ago to be prepared for this. That area will be widened for 6-lane access. And then there will be some improvements to the Durham Road intersection. The entrance to the shopping center at the Coles will be eliminated, and the traffic light there and at Stadium Drive and Jenkins Road will be eliminated. And then there will be another elimination of traffic light up on Purnell and Harris. And all of those are going to be turned into intersections, basically, where they're going to look like exits off of an interstate highway, basically, is the idea. So that's what it's being done. The whole goal is to remove the traffic lights so that there are only ramps at the interchanges, and then some cross streets will be grade separated, which means there will be a bridge either over the intersection that currently exists or under, in order to get traffic from one side to the other, from the east side to the west side. So the first phase of this project is going to be down at I-540. And for those of you that are familiar with that intersection right now, there is an exit as we go south towards 540 from Wake Forest. You get down there past Gresham Lake Road, and there is a section where you bear right, and you get on I-540 going west towards the Research Triangle Park. That will remain the same as it is now, but just before that will be another exit for those of you that have to go eastbound on 540 towards Knightdale and Wendell in that area, over towards 264 in that area. There will be another flyover that the exit will be before the current one, and it'll actually go eastbound. It'll actually fly over. There won't be any stoplight like there is right now. Currently, you go underneath 540 and you make a left turn in order to get on the eastbound side. So the flyover, it's going to look like a big city. I just got back from Dallas a little while back, and they have flyovers doing this all over the place in order to keep traffic moving.
So the flyover is going to go over the existing...
It'll go over both of the existing roads. So the flyover will be a bridge. You'll take the exit. You'll go on a bridge and you'll go over 540 and then back around on the south side of 540 over Capitol Boulevard. And that's where you will get on 540 going eastbound. So no traffic lights.
Will that be before or after the western entrance?
It'll be just before the western entrance. So the eastbound entrance will be first, and then the western entrance will be second. And then those of you that are familiar with the flyover currently, as you're coming from Research Triangle Park from the Falls of the Noose Road area and you take the Capitol Boulevard exit, you've been on that flyover to go northbound on Capitol Boulevard. It will basically be the same type of road there in order to get people going to that. So that's the first phase of it. And that is scheduled for a start date in 2021. That's when they'll begin working on it. And then the next phase will be, if you're familiar with where all of the automobile dealerships are, where that used to be Cheviot Hills Country Club. It's got the Leith Toyota and the Volkswagen and the Honda dealership and the Audi dealership and all that stuff. Going north of that, at the intersection of Perry Creek and Durant Road,
where the Dunkin' Donuts is.
Where the Dunkin' Donuts is on the corner there will be what's called a diverted diamond interchange. And that's going to look very similar to the interchange that exists currently on the Calvin Jones Highway portion of Highway 98 bypass over Capitol Boulevard. So when you exit, you'll have the choice of going right or left off of that with controlled traffic lights there. And so it'll be very similar to if you're going north or southbound on Capitol now, where the Carolina Ale House is and all of those new restaurants that have just opened up, the Chipotle, where the Chick-fil-A is, etc. You'll have exits similar to that at the Perry Creek Road and Durant Road intersection of Capitol Boulevard. So that's going to eliminate that also.
So that's going to be elevated like it is.
It'll be elevated. It'll be almost exactly like it is at 98.
And if you're going straight through, you go under what they're going to build?
We're not sure. I can't quite tell yet if it's going to go under or over. My guess is that they build the overpass for Durant and Perry Creek and not Capitol because of the cost of it.
Yeah.
It would just be outrageously expensive to build a six-lane highway bridge over the top of that. It's possible, but I don't think that's what's planned.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, of course, you got bridges at over the Noose River, so you'll see that bridge be significantly improved. And then when you get up a little bit further north where Crossroads Ford is, and across the street from that where the old driving range used to be, where the new Capital Chevrolet is being built, that will also have a flyover bridge. And if you go to the maps, you can get if you go to the town's website and you go to if you go to the town's website and you go to the US 1 Capitol Boulevard improvements, it's got a link to the maps where you can actually see all of these, and those maps are what they're going to be talking about so that people can ask their questions. But the Burlington Mill Road intersection will be a little bit different intersection, as it will just have your standard on and off ramps, very similar to what we see at the Durham Road exit over near the Bojangles and the old Food Lion that was in and just south of the Kohl's Shopping Center, where you would typically go towards downtown Wake Forest on Durham Road. And the town is going to be doing some improvements to Durham Road in order to prepare for that. So you'll see those changes made also. So there will be no traffic light there. It's already set up that way where you go underneath the highway. It'll have a couple of improvements, and of course the specifically is the widening of that bridge, and there will be some longer acceleration and deceleration lanes that are placed in there for that purposes. And again, that's at the Burlington Mills Road intersection.
Yep.
And then you'll have the bridges built over the CSX Railroad where they currently are. All of that's going to be widened to 6 lanes again. And then the next phase, which will be a huge project, is the intersection at Falls of the Noose Road and South Main Street. And this is, again, going to be very similar to what we already see at the North Carolina 98 bypass at the Calvin Jones Highway.
So as of right now, what are we looking at for a time frame for this intersection?
My guess is the whole project starts in 2021 and is scheduled for completion around 2028. And it looks like they're taking it out in about 2-year chunks. So my guess would be that they would that's the second phase, or actually the third phase of the work for the Falls of the Noose Road section, because of course they've got to get the southern part of it built in order to handle all the traffic that's going down that direction as things go by. And it's also going to help with us as we have the construction in progress. With all the connectivity in Wake Forest, the one thing that town planners have done, you've got a couple of ways to work around the absence of that route. So we'll be building those on the south side first. So huge project there at South Main, because of course you've got 4 lanes on either side of South Main and New Falls of the Noose. And the other nice thing about it is those of you that make a right turn off of South Main Street as you're going towards Capitol Boulevard from Wake Forest, where the old Chris Leith used car dealership used to be on the right side, there on the corner. For those of you that have been in Wake Forest a long time, that's where Bostrom Ford used to be. But they'll be adding a longer right turn lane there so that it can be a continuous flow of traffic. So that will assist. Needed. Well, and it's going to work like an exit ramp, so you'll be able to turn and keep traffic flowing when it's going northbound. So that's going to make a huge difference for those folks. Now, of course, it is going to take up some space. The way that it's set with the Westgate Dodge Ram Kia and the Crossroads Nissan. The good news is they're not losing any of their land. The land for this is being taken on the other side of the road, as it will actually be shifted towards the west side just a little bit in order to make all of this happen. And then, of course, the North Carolina 98 bypass is already in place. They already have those exits set up there. That's the Durham Road section, right there near the Bojangles and all of those things, connecting to Retail Drive as you're going on down there.
So back to the South Main Falls and Noose intersection.
Yeah.
What are they going to do there? Because you said there's not going to be any lights.
It's going to be a double diamond interchange, very similar to what you're seeing on the 98 bypass. Yeah, those are so efficient. For those, it's a little complicated the first couple of times you do it, but it's the same thing that they did at Six Forks Road on 540, and it's been done quite a few other places. It's the most efficient way to actually move traffic.
Yeah.
And then there's already one in existence, of course, at the 98 bypass. The big difference will be that they will have to widen that to hold 6 lanes rather than the 4 lanes that are currently there.
Right, yeah.
And then Section D of the project, the last portion, will be from Durham Road 98. And again, a lot of the exits are already done there. There's going to be a little clover leaf that brings you off. And sets you up if you're going from if you're going to go to the west side. So there'll be a cloverleaf there, and then a lot of folks have asked about that Jenkins Road Stadium Drive subdivision. They're going to build a bridge across the US 1 corridor. So for example, if you're leaving from Wake Forest High School and you're going towards Capitol Boulevard, you will actually go over a bridge to get over Capitol Boulevard. There will be no access to Capitol Boulevard there. It's not going to have an exit or anything like that. Eventually, as time goes by, ultimately, Ligon Mill Road will run behind the Wake Forest Crossing Shopping Center, more than likely, and connect to Stadium Drive. And so that'll be how you get down to the Durham Road intersection, or you'll be able to eventually get on that Ligon Mill Road extension and go north to Harris Road. As that's done with some kind of a frontage road. So there's a bridge there to get you across Stadium and Jenkins, and again, no access to the highway from there. And all of those entrances in front of the Kohl's Shopping Center, the Wendy's, and Wake Union Church Road, all of those will eventually be shut down. So you'll have to go over to Stadium or Jenkins in order to get to those. And those have been in the plans. You know, this has been on the books for so long. all of the businesses that have been approved to go on there over the last 15, 20 years, we've made sure to keep them far enough off that they were aware that this kind of thing was going. So there's plenty of room to be able to do that. And then the final completion goes all the way out to the intersection of Harris Road and Purnell Road. Again, there will be a bridge there that goes across from Harris to Purnell above the Capitol Boulevard interchange, and you will be able to exit off of that bridge either to go southbound or northbound. So there will be highway access from there the way that it's designed. So that's the ultimate plan. We've had quite a few questions on it in terms of people asking different things. And a couple of folks worried about the town being cut off in one way or another, but it really doesn't affect the usage there, other than people cutting through Wake Forest to get to Rollsville. It's probably going to be a lot easier to go Highway 401 in order to get to Rollsville down the road. As we look at things like that. So that's where the good thing is. We did have a couple of questions when I posted on the Facebook page where I was going to be. A lot of folks said, well, is this going to bypass entrances to Wake Forest? The answer is no. It's not going to cut off Burlington Mill, South Main, 98, Durham Road, or Purnell Road. It's not going to cut off any of those. So you'll still be able to use those access points. They'll just be done as exits off of an interstate, basically, rather than traffic lights like they currently are.
It'll be a lot smoother.
It'll be significantly smoother. And, of course, once it opens, we'll get the timing down with the traffic lights to make sure that queues are in place and things like that. So there won't be a stoplight at Durant Road. Somebody was worried about how am I going to get to Capitol Boulevard if there's not a stoplight there? Again, it's an exit, so there will be two roads that intersect, but they are going to be not be at grade intersections. There's going to be an overpass one way or the other.
Yeah.
And then the other question was about the Jenkins Stadium intersection. Again, there's no exit at that intersection, so you will have to take a frontage road or a backage road in order to get to either Purnell or Harris or down to the Durham Road intersection. And that's where the big questions are. What's that going to do to my commute? Well, it may take you a little bit longer to get to Capitol Boulevard, but once you get on there, it's going to be 65 miles an hour from 540 all the way north on this. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be high-speed access. It'll move traffic a little better onto 540 in the mornings. They're going to clean up that third lane there and make that a little bit safer. We do have a couple of questions on that, but I think we've cleared over that. But the intersections and the access points are not changing. You'll still have your multiple options. So if there's a wreck on Burlington Mills Road, you'll be able to go up to South Main Street. If there's a wreck on South Main, you'll be able to go to Burlington Mills Road, or you can go up to Highway 98. If there's a wreck on 98 Bypass, then you'll have the option of going to South Main Street or to Durham Road. If there's a wreck on Durham Road, you'll have the option of going back down to 98 Bypass or going north to Harris. So the options are all there. And again, the planners in town have done a great job with preparing everything for this.
My main question is just with the whole Jenkins Road Stadium Drive thing and then cutting off that whole shopping center. If I want to go to Kohl's,
if you want to go to Kohl's, you'll take the exit at Durham Road.
Okay. And
you'll go north on a frontage road in order to get there. It's very similar to if you look at the Briar Creek area, okay? Briar Creek has, instead of building entrances from all of the office buildings and the hotels and the shopping center at Briar Creek, instead of building those onto 540, you exit off at either Lumley Road or Highway 70 or Leesville Road, and you go other feeder roads like Briar Creek Parkway.
New feeder road.
It's a whole new feeder road network system that's part of this. That's correct.
Is it going to be called Pate Road?
No, I doubt it. But Ligon Mill Road, for example, you'll be able to take the Burlington Mill Road exit, and you'll be able to go Ligon Mill from Burlington Mill to Ligon Mill, where Richland Creek Community Church is.
Yep.
You'll be able to take Ligon Mill Road eventually all the way to Stadium Drive, and then further on down the road up to Harris Road. So you'll have secondary options to get around inside the town of Wake Forest.
How big is that Ligon Mill Road, is it going to be, how many lanes is that going to be?
Well,
Once it's finished?
I don't know for sure. I know that it's going to be 2 lanes in its initial build. I think that down the road, eventually the town's going to have to look at making that 4 lanes.
They should go ahead and do 4 lanes right away.
Well, and that's what a lot of people say. The problem is the cost of that project is, people don't want their taxes raised to do those local projects. So we're doing some improvements to the intersection right now on the north side of the Ligon Mill South Main intersection that go the back way to Walmart or Sam's Club, how a lot of people go. And if you go out there right now, you'll notice that Ligon Mill is already cut through most of the way to Highway 98. And then it'll be a question of how we handle that. I'm in favor of a bridge over 98 in order to get to the north side of it behind the Lowe's Home Improvement Center that's over there.
I could see something like the Diamond intersection that we have.
I don't think you'll see that on the Ligon Mill Road because that puts 2 intersections less than a mile from each other, and that's really close. You really need about a mile between major intersections.
You want a whole bridge.
Yeah.
So how would someone get from Ligon Mill to 98?
To 98 bypass or 98 business?
Bypass.
So you'll be able to go to 98 bypass, and you've got the super street model there that you'll. So if you go up to if you're wanting to go southbound and you're starting on Ligon Mill Road, you'll have to go up to 98 and do the super street, then go back to the west and take the exit to get southbound onto US 1 and Capitol. But if you're already down there, your other option is going to be you're going to have the option of going straight to the intersection at Falls of the Noose and Capitol, or you can go back down to Burlington also. So, it's really not logical to travel more than one major road to another major road on that street. And that's kind of where the usage is a little bit lower. Because there are some people right now that if they're coming up 401, they get on Ligon Mill Road and they come all the way to Walmart, basically. And that's really not the most efficient way to do that. The best way to do it when this road's built is going to be to go up Capitol Boulevard, because it will be 65 miles an hour going away from us. And then you will take the exit at US 1 and South Main, and you'll be able to turn in just like you do now.
Yeah. I'm excited for that Ligon Mill Road. I think it's going to help a lot.
The Ligon Mill Road connection across town is going to be very important. And the other major project that we're working on right now, as a matter of fact, is to get people from Traditions Grand Boulevard up on the north side of Traditions subdivision. We're cutting through roads there so that you can go right now you can't get from Traditions to Joyner Park without going back into the downtown area, and we're getting ready to give 2 access points that will allow you to do that. You're going to be able to do that through the Sedgefield subdivision by going back through the new Del Webb community, and then there's going to be another space down there that cuts straight across right behind Franklin Academy. And then we've already got 1 cut through that's on the road before that, and I want to call it Juniper, but I'm not positive that that's the correct road. So all of this connectivity that we've been working on for the past 25 years in the town of Wake Forest has been done in preparation for this, knowing that eventually we'd have to get people from the east side of town to the west side of town. And right now it can take, when I leave Heritage and I want to go to the northwest quadrant of Wake Forest up off of Purnell Road, I actually have to get on Capitol Boulevard in order to do it. In another year, I'll be able to go up through Traditions and go across with a couple of options in order to get over there and make that connection also.
You're talking about the Royal Mill Avenue.
The Royal Mill connection, that's correct. Okay. That's correct.
That's going to be helpful a lot.
Yep.
Then the other one is when what's the road called? What that Sheets is on?
Which Sheets? Rogers Road?
No, the Heritage Sheets.
That's on Rogers Road. That's on Franklin Street.
Yeah, Franklin
intersection
Street.
of Franklin Street.
When Franklin Street goes over to 98.
Yeah, Franklin Street will eventually go over to 98, and that will relieve a lot of that traffic that's on Rogers Road right now with the morning traffic with kids going to school and things like that. That will make a huge difference there. Even with the Holding Village neighborhood dumping onto it, that's not going to be but about 400, 500 cars a day that are going on there, and they'll be spread out over a 2-hour period for the most part. And ultimately, the biggest challenge that we have is still the way that the schools are set up. But with parents being able to go straight to get back to 98 rather than having to turn right and then turn left on Heritage Lake Road, you'll have two accesses.
A lot of stress off of Main Street and Heritage Lake.
Exactly, and that's the whole idea there. And you've already got the traffic light in place at Franklin Street that goes straight towards downtown, and then you'll have their option of going east or west on 98 bypass.
Yes. Hope it happens sooner rather than later.
Well, the biggest thing with it is it's going to be kind of like the Rogers Road Bridge closing a couple of years ago. It's going to be painful while it's under construction, but we're building for the long-term benefit, and ultimately the vision is for this to go even further north into Franklin County. And so the folks in Youngsville and Franklinton will benefit from it, and Kittrell down the road eventually. The good news for folks that live in Youngsville is that they're going to have quicker access, so people will be able to move out further away to Youngsville that want a little bit bigger lot for a little less money, at least right now.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to buy up in that area and still get to Research Triangle Park inside of an hour. But ultimately, when they start building in Youngsville, it's going to do the same thing there that it's done in Wake Forest. You know, the most recent census statistics from the town, we were at about 13,000 people when I moved here in 1998, and now we have 43,000 people. So in 20 years, we've added 30,000 people. If we do that again over the next 20 years, you're going to need that highway to continue on through Youngsville. Because they'll grow, because a lot of people will move a little bit further out, and there are already folks that are getting out of Wake Forest because they feel like it's getting too big. I don't necessarily see that as an issue, because we're trapped between a rock and a hard place. If we don't grow, we don't have the money to do some of the things that we would like to do, and if we stop building, then the tax that we have to make a tax increase in order to pay for the same things that growth is paying for now. And a lot of people say, well, the new folks moving here should have a cost to them to move here, and the people that already live here shouldn't have to deal with the burden. Well, if we built all of the roads in advance before we started building subdivisions, the taxes would be so high nobody would ever move here. And that's, some people think that that's probably a good thing. But ultimately, your taxes would then go up just because there's not enough new people moving here in order to pay for the improvements as building continues to go on. Mm-hmm. Down the road, and we have to look at these things of what's Wake Forest going to look like in 30 years or 20 years. And if you look at it, there's probably going to be 65, 70,000 people here by the time 2040 rolls around. And we have to be thinking about what the traffic flow is going to be like with that. You're probably going to end up with another set of schools around here somewhere, and we're going to need the movement in order to help out with that.
Those next schools are probably going to go more up north towards Youngsville.
It depends on where land's available. That's the biggest challenge right now. There's not a lot of land. I mean, I don't want to say there's not a lot of land available. There's not a lot of land on the market. But there is plenty of land. If you look at the developed land and what's available in Wake Forest, we have less than about 45% of the available land in Wake Forest to be developed. The biggest challenge we have from economic development standpoint is that we don't have that many large tracts of land available that are 65, 70 to 100 acres or more, that some of the large businesses that could take some of the stress off of the local taxpayer, for the residential taxpayer at least. When companies like Target and Home Depot and Lowe's open up in Wake Forest, they pay huge amounts of taxes on those properties, and that helps us without stressing the load on the utilities and the infrastructure that we provide. So that's why we have to keep that balance in line. When I ran for office back in 2015, my goal was to have at least 25% of the tax base being commercial property, and that is the case now where we are. So we're holding that balance in line. Mm-hmm. And that's something that the commissioners deal with at pretty much every planning meeting when somebody brings a project to us. So it's important to keep that in mind in the background.
So I think that about covers it.
I think so. For the information, if you want to see information on this and all of the maps, they're on the town's website. If you go into the town's website and in the search bar write Capitol Boulevard Improvements, you're going to get some information. It'll say US 1 Capitol Boulevard Improvements Public Meetings, and it'll have the link to all of these maps in the third paragraph there. So I would encourage people to go visit that website. You can also go to the NCDOT website, ncdot.gov/news/public-meetings, and you can look up the maps for all of the public meetings, or better yet, go to those meetings and give your input. Tell us what you think. Keep your eye
open for the meeting.
Yeah, we'll let you know when that is, and I encourage people to attend that, because going to those meetings really is good to get your questions answered, so that you at least know what's going on.
Yeah, once you can see those maps on a big print, you'll be able to, it'll really help, I think.
Yeah, these maps are huge. So
Yeah.
15, 20 people can stand there and look at the same section of the map at the same time, and there's going to be a representative from DOT to explain exactly how things will work throughout that process.
And will they even have maybe some renderings?
Well, they're not doing renderings yet, other than the big maps to show where things are going. I don't. They're not going to spend the money on the renderings like that, so you can see what it looks like the way you would with an architectural setup. This is all road and land development. They do have the design. If you're really bored, you can go to the town's website and just type in US 1 corridor project, and there's about a 200-page document that you can read through that's going to show you what the overall plan is, and the who, what, where, and why they're doing it.
Yep.
And how they're going to build it. And so that's the good part about it. All of the details are available. You just have to take the initiative in order to look up the information or to go to the meeting. Because if you don't go to the meeting and you don't make your public comment, because they are taking public comments here, if you don't make your public comments and you wait till they start construction to say, well, why didn't they do it this way? You're not going to understand why they're doing it. So it's up to citizens of Wake Forest to keep themselves informed on that.
Yep. If you have any ideas for future episodes, please contact Brian on Facebook or Twitter. We're always looking for ideas.
Yep, that's why we're having this discussion today. Somebody brought it up and said, hey, can you talk about this in more detail?
Yep. So, anything in the future you want us to talk about, let us know, and then we will. And until then, I'm Joel.
I'm Brian.
And thank you for listening.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.